Breitling recently released the new Superoceans, and they're pretty cool and contemporary looking. However, the more interesting elements of this new collection came from a vintage watch that, in my opinion, is actually way cooler than the new collection itself. The new Breitling Superocean significantly draws itself away from the previous version of the brand's diver collection. Much of the departure comes from the dial design, but there are some slight deviations too on the case side. There's now more crystal real estate due to the fact that the bezel has been reworked to be noticeably narrower and is now sporting a glossy ceramic insert. However, the dial looks a lot smaller because of this new broad wide chapter ring compared to the rehaut of the previous collection. The hands also get a redesign that's a lot more vintage influenced. A couple of elements are gone, such as the numerals at the quarter markers and that date window, at least for this initial offering. These are now replaced with simpler trapezoid indexes. This also makes the dial a little more compressed with less blank spaces available. Most of the models in this new collection comes on a rubber strap, with the majority of them having a steel bracelet option. Both have a redesigned button trigger clasp. There are 4 sizes to choose from, ranging from the massive 46mm models to the ladies' size 36mm. I like how Breitling brought the new Superocean collection together with the familiar aesthetics of the Navitimer and other collections in their offerings. However, this is not a completely new design. It actually came from a vintage watch called the 2005, and it's actually more interesting than you think. There's only a handful of videos on YouTube that feature the Superocean chronograph that the new Superocean divers were modeled after. Craft and Tailored featured this in one of their videos that wonderfully highlights why this reference number 2005 is a fascinating timepiece. For vintage watch collecting considerations, this reference is a chunkier proposition with long slender lugs. This proportion feels more contemporary in sizing, which may have been one of the reasons why this is reincarnated in the new collection. What's fascinating about this is that thin-weighted hand is not a second hand at all, but a minute counter for the chronograph. This watch was nicknamed the slow motion because, being a minute timer, the hand is so slow that it's hard to see that it's actually active. A clever solution against this is to have an indicator on the dial that identifies the chronograph's state. For a chronograph, it's remarkably capable of 200 meters of water resistance and has all the hallmarks of a dive watch built into it. Aesthetically, the wide chapter ring makes more sense here when paired with the minute counter's diamond tip. This tip resides on the chapter ring like a dedicated track. When the pusher is pressed, the 6 o'clock window will display a full wide aperture, showing that the minute counter is active. Such a simple but pleasing design. Press the pusher again and the indicator turns into a white dot. This states that the chronograph is now paused. From here, you can even move the bezel marker on the minute counter to mark your elapsed time. Of course, you can use this as your typical dive bezel, but bear in mind that this is bidirectional. From here, you can restart your chronograph or reset it back to its original position. Simply brilliant. Comparing it back to the current Superoceans, you can see the clear evolution of the design. It preserves that tuxedo visuals while keeping the proportions close. The markers have changed to square shapes, but it doesn't break character. The bezel scale is also simplified to be just 15 minutes, which I think is a good choice for a modern flavor. It's a lovely discovery for me. Because of this new redesign, I found that there is a vintage reference out there that deserves our attention. It leaves me longing for a chronograph version that arguably is more interesting and even more functional for the modern collector. That's the new Breitling Superoceans. I like the new modern take of this old collection, even though I still prefer the heritage line as my dive watch from Breitling. I like too that this design is actually an older vintage design that kind of keeps the spirit of that 2005 alive. What do you think? Comment down below and let me know if this aesthetic is pleasing to you. Okay. Sorry. This is going to be in the next episode, and another thing that's going to come up soon is the new Tissot PRX. I finally got a Tissot PRX and I'm going to tell you why the Quartz PRX might be the better selection than that of the automatic. If you want more luxury watch content, just click on this video right here. It's actually far cooler. Let's find it out. Find it out. Let's do it again. Take two. No, this is take 5.